ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm happy to come your way with the online pregnancy school. I trust you are doing well by God's grace and also helping your families to keep well. As I said the other day, we're going to look at different aspects of family life. And today I want to share with you some tips on helping to keep the family healthy. Now, for some of us, we are already married, we have children, and maybe your expectations before you started having children have changed, because before you have the children, you are interested in the children coming and you being a mother or a father. But then, you might not have thought of certain things that you have experienced since you started having children. And in fact, even when you got married, because when you are single, your life is different from when you are married. You know, the space that you have for yourself changes, your time changes. A lot of things that probably you could do when you were on your own, you cannot do them the same way. Likewise, some of the things that you were not doing before you got married, now you start doing them when you get married. So there are changes that can take place. And there are also people who are planning on getting married. Others may have been married, but they are still waiting to start having children. Whichever category you find yourself in, family health, family life is very important. And today I want to share with you some of the expectations that we should be aware of, especially for those who haven't started their families. Maybe you just got married. You are looking forward to having your children. But what are some of the things that you should expect, and what can you do? It's a big topic, so we'll take them a little at a time. So today I'm going to focus on some of the things you have to be aware of as you plan on having children. First of all, between the two of you, you have to decide on how many children you would like to have. It might not be easy to do that. So as we decide on how many children we want to have, we should be aware of certain things. One of them is that you might not know how long after marriage you become pregnant. For some people, soon after marriage, they become pregnant. Within 3 months, within 1 year, they are pregnant. For others, it might take years. So as you think about when you want to have children, please remember that there might be instances when you cannot determine when you will have these children. If by God's grace you have a child, the time that you can become pregnant again may also not be within your power to decide. For some people, they have a child, it takes a long time, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years before they have another one. For others, it doesn't take long at all. They have a child this year. Before the end of the second year, they are pregnant again. So you find that between two children, they have less than 2 years interval. All these have implications for you as the mother, you as the father, and the family as a whole. So please, as you decide on the number of children to have, remember that when to have them may not be within your power to decide. However, there are things that you can do to also delay pregnancies, and we'll be talking about them in subsequent videos. Now, another thing that we have to be aware of is that starting a family comes with a lot of responsibilities. So if you don't think about these responsibilities, you might be overwhelmed, because you have to know what you are getting into so that you plan appropriately. Now, one of them is that you might have children, but unfortunately, there might be instances where you have a child who needs special care. So if you don't factor this into your plans, you might be overtaken by events. Another thing is that you might think, I'm going to have a child and it's one, but you can have twins or even triplets. So you have to be aware of that as I prepare for pregnancy. Some of these things can happen, and therefore I need to be aware of them and well prepared for them. If you have just joined us today, I'm talking about the family, and specifically about when people are deciding to have children, starting their families. What are some of the things that they have to be aware of and prepare adequately for them? Now, as you have these children, they are not going to be separate from the things that you were doing before you started having children. And you have to take this into consideration in terms of when and how many children you want to have. If you are a worker, you might be continuing with your work, especially if you have to leave the house and go out to work. Or even if you're a business person or a trader or anything that you do. Remember that if you do not decide to stop that thing, then the time that you have for that job that you are doing will be shared by the child or the children that you're going to have. So it is very important that you know what to do so that you don't get overwhelmed. Another thing is that you need to stay healthy yourself, especially the mother, because pregnancy is a long journey. You might be vomiting from the beginning. You may not be able to eat. You cannot sleep well. You cannot do things that you used to do. So you have to factor all this into your plan in terms of when and how many children you want to have. Now, when these children are born, they will grow up. But even as young babies, they demand a lot of time. So as they are little babies, they will demand your time, your energy, and your sleep. So you have to be aware of them. This is not to scare you. It's just to get you prepared as you plan on starting a family. Now, the other thing is that as they grow, their needs change. So the time from you in terms of taking care of them, if they are going to start school, it's a whole lot that you have to think about. But I just want to draw your attention to some of the responsibilities that you have to be aware of as you plan on starting a family. So their health is one. Are they in good health? Do they need care? Do they need special care? Is there something you have to do for these children to be healthy as you also think about your health? Another area that you have to be concerned about is the nutrition of these children and family members. It is very, very, very important because the child will need to grow and develop well to be able to take care of himself or herself as he or she grows older. So what you feed the child with is key. And we will be going into details with some of these as we go along in subsequent videos. Then the other thing you have to be aware of is their wellness. You see, health is different from wellness. Wellness is when you are in a state of peace, a state of good living with whatever situation you are in. So it is possible that somebody has a condition that has not been cured, but the person is living well. So that condition is not preventing this person from doing what he or she wants to do. And that is the wellness. We don't pray that people will be sick. We don't pray that people will be unwell. But if it happens that you have a condition that can affect your well-being in terms of what you do with yourself, your time, and other people, then it's very important that you determine how to live well and have a life that is very well. Now, the other thing that you have to be aware of is that these children would grow and they would have to go to school. So you have to think of education. And the education will start very, very early. Some people want to take their young children to the crèche or to daycare or somewhere else, or even get somebody to take care of them. It is very important because all these contribute towards the development of the child. So whatever you're going to do, please think about this. Now, this is one of the responsibilities that you have to be aware of as a mother, as a father, and as parents. You have to be thinking about that. The other thing that you have to be aware of is the mental health. Mental health is very, very, very important. However, a lot of people do not think about it. When they talk about health, they are only talking about whether I don't have any pain or I have a fever, I have a cough, I have this. But mental health is really important because if you have a good mental health state, it will surely affect the way you do things. If you don't have a good mental health state, it will also affect the way you do things. So as you prepare and plan to start a family, please take care of your own mental health. It is very important because this child will cry. This child will need your attention when he or she needs food. When he or she is trying to do something, he cannot do it, will need your care. When they sleep in the night and they are scared or they cannot sleep, they will come to you. A whole lot of things. When they use the bathroom, when you have to give them a shower, there are so many things that they will demand from you. So you have to be in a very good mental health state to be able to take care of the family. Now, there are some people who might have gone through some issues and situations when they were younger. And unfortunately, they take these into their marriages. Probably something happened in their homes. They saw how the parents were relating to each other. Maybe one parent was not nice to the other one, or one parent may even have been abusive of the other one. Somehow, unfortunately, they get to learn these things. Or they were in families where people could not forgive each other, or people could not talk to each other, or people never had the opportunity of sitting together as a family to discuss issues without fighting. And therefore, this person might take this into his or her marriage. Now, if this is a situation that you have found yourself in the past, it is very important that you seek professional care so that your mental health state will be clear and will be good before you enter into marriage. It's not easy accommodating somebody who has grown up in a different environment from where you grew up. But if you have a good mental health state, it will be helpful. So that is very, very important. Now, when you are at home, you start a family, there are other things that you have to be doing. And that would include keeping the home. So I'm saying all this for us to appreciate that it is not enough just to get up and say that I'm going to get married and have children. You have to work on yourself. You have to be aware of some of the things you'll be getting into. You might be going for counseling. Yes, they might tell you a whole lot of things, but there are some of the things that you really learn them when you go and live in your home with your spouse. So when you start having children and you haven't resolved some of the issues that you realize came up when you got married, then that can be an issue. That's why I want to emphasize on the mental health state. Seeking mental health care doesn't mean that you are weak. It doesn't mean that you are not strong. It just means that you know what you want and you want the best for yourself and also for your family. So it is very, very important that you do that. Now, in terms of relationship, you might have to be communicating with your husband or your wife and then the children. So it's key that we learn how to do this so that we bring peace into the home. We are talking about family health. We bring peace into the home. If you are not flexible, if you cannot tolerate somebody else's view, If you think that you are always right, that will create problems for you, because then you become offended very easily. So it's important that we learn that as we're going to live with other people, as we are bringing children into the world, it cannot always be our way. We have to dialogue. So relationship, communicating in the relationship and not feeling offended when somebody says that I did not like the way you did this. It doesn't also mean that you should always be complaining. You are the one who is always complaining that I don't like what you did. I don't like what you did. It should be both ways. So please try as much as possible for the two of you to agree on what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining me for the first time today, this is the online pregnancy school. Yes, it is a pregnancy school. We talk about the family and we talk about pregnancy. Now, when a child is born, this child will grow. And it's important that we understand and appreciate the magnitude of the work that we have to do if we want our children to grow well. If you haven't done that yet, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And remember to turn on the notification bell, because you'll be notified when we have a new video coming up. My name is Dr. Linda Vanuatu, and it is always a pleasure coming your way. So this was just an introduction into the family, how we have to think about it as we plan and prepare to start our own family. I'll be sharing with you some other tips in the next video. See you in my next video.